So our film follows a woman who is going through a breakup, and she's just having a girls' night with her friends. Doesn't really end the way that she is hoping that it will.
Where did the inspiration for the story came from? Because this story it'll play out tonight here in Memphis, probably about 20, 30 times.
Sure.
Play out, 1,000 times over, the United States. So where did the inspiration come from?
Kevin wrote the script, so I can't necessarily speak to the, first spark of inspiration. For me, when I joined on this project, it was very much about my own life and tons of friends around me that at various points in their lives have gone through the same kind of thing.
Talk to us a little bit about, what I really loved about the film was the talent. You guys casted a great group of people. Where did you find them, and what was their reaction when they read the script?
Most of ththese people in there were just friends, you know what I mean? People I've worked with before, like Rosalind Ross, Bertram, who else did we, Gray, Jasmine Settles, Keenan Walker. These are just friends that I've worked with before, and I think they're super great at what they do. And when they read the script, they were totally down for it. It wasn't any I don't know if I want to do this. They were on board for it, and that just made the experience so much better to have everybody wanting to go forward with this. In
order to be in the Memphis Film Prize, you had to film within Shelby County. Talk to us about the locations, because to me the locations were perfect.
Yeah, Molly Fontaine is just, we didn't have to do any production design to it. It was already beautiful. The way that it was lit, looked great on camera. Everything.
We brought one light.
Right, we brought one, right, exactly. It just worked. It looked beautiful, for sure.
Talk to us about the importance of men behaving, because we see in the scene where the woman is going through a breakup, she's distressed, she's hanging out with her friends, and then she goes to the restroom, and the guy starts hitting on her and coming on to her, and she says no, and then he barges into the restroom. So let's talk about men behaving badly, and what we need to do to teach our young men this is not right.
So I definitely think something that strikes me in this film is certainly that she's not flirting with him, as things start to unfold. But you're right, she does, get a little, whoa, what am I doing?
She's having a bad day. And
she is.
This guy is being a predator. He's not taking no for an answer. And
obviously sees that vulnerability in her, speaks to her about it even. One of the reasons that we made this film is because this is something that we have to talk about, right? And the less that we have these conversations, the more men feel compelled and allowed to get up and follow that woman to the bathroom, or, take a girl home at the end of the night that just puked in their frat house, So we want to have this specific conversation about this behavior, especially because I find that Bertram's character throughout the film, up until he's in the bathroom, seems like a really nice guy, right? He's handsome, she's flirting with him, he's being very nice to her. And I think a lot of times, I don't want to generalize that all men do this, but I think a lot of the time men feel like there's this quota of okay, if I've been nice to her this many times, that means I get to, do whatever I want now. And so I think trying to have that very difficult conversation between men about, you're just supposed to be nice to people, and that shouldn't be your ticket into having sex with someone. It should just be how you treat a human.
It should be who you are, period, and not because I'm nice I get a prize. I feel like we live in a society, and we kind of been raised, if you do something, you get a prize, would be a star on the chart, or whatnot. It's just, we just got to be nice and kind to each other, and let's talk about the other side of the coin. What really struck me out too is her friends didn't stand up for her.
Right.
They kind of abandoned her.
Well, and my hope is that the ending is open-ended enough that perhaps a friend steps up after the camera stops rolling. But we did want to tell sort of everyone's story, and often your friends are not there for you. I've certainly been through instances where my friends just don't want to believe me because that guy was really nice, and that's a conversation we have to have too, is how to respond to this when it's not our own situation.
Because what really struck me about this film is that it was not only the guy that was at fault, it was her friends who did not,
Right.
go to the restroom with her and be sure she was safe, and because they knew that she was in a very vulnerable time and very vulnerable moment. So,
And they knew she didn't want to be out in the first place, and saw this guy obviously trying to flirt with her. Would have been cool to keep their eye on it.
how did this change you as a filmmaker, but as a woman? Going through the production and going through the story, now seeing it on the big screen.
I think that art is something that I really started taking seriously as a means of survival. And most of the stuff that I make is about sexual trauma, it's about healing. And to be able to construct this story from start to finish really provides a lot of catharsis, a lot of validation, a lot of ability to have these conversations and relate to other women and other people that have been through this. So certainly as a filmmaker and an artist, it's a great opportunity to have and continue having these conversations and making art about painful things as an act of healing. But as a woman, just being able to relate to these other people and heal so actively and emphatically is a really wonderful thing.
If this is not too personal, how can men in this world help you heal? What would help you out to heal?
I mean, some of my favorite men that have been instrumental in my healing, like Kevin, like my partner, my father, and my brother, are so deeply willing to have these conversations and to take accountability, to think about dates that they've been on where, maybe they didn't act the way that they should have, and to use that as sort of a springboard to have conversations with other men who are doing more harmful things.
Because I just feel like, we need to support each other more and be there. And whether it be, sexual assault or suicide or mental illness or any of the other films that are in this film festival, is the common things we got to listen. Mm-hmm. And we got to admit our wrongs and just listen and support. And how did this film affect you as a filmmaker, but also too as a man?
As a man, I think it affected me in the early stages of just writing it, and really it all goes back to our conversations we had even before we were thinking about even doing a film together. And I think she really changed my life and opened me up to so many things and seeing things from a different perspective. And I hope with this film that guys can watch this and see things from a different perspective, because that was my intention. From my point of view, it's so many guys don't want to talk about it. So many guys just want to keep it locked under locked up and under the what's the saying? I'm stuttering now.
Swept under the cup.
That's it. Yeah. Wow, you can just edit that out. But so many guys want to do that, and I really think that it needs to be out there. We need to talk about it, and it needs to be a voice so people can know that these things happen every single day. And it's not hidden. It's happening. Everyone something like this. Right, exactly. So that's how it affected me, and I hope that it affects other people who watch this the same way.
Is there, a future for this film to become a feature? And hopefully a teaching tool?
Hey, we would love that if it did become a feature, We would really love that.
What are you guys working on next professionally?
I am very slowly working on a short silent film that is also about sexual trauma and healing, sort of more of the fallout side of things, and it's a more personal, internal story. And then I think we've talked recently about, sort of keeping up with a theme of following a story behind a door and having these conversations that normally are swept under the rug.
A short silent film, where did that, you don't see people making silent films anymore.
I really want it to be stark, and if I take away one of your senses as an audience member, then the visual is that much more important, the feelings are that much more important. So I'm hoping that and silence is also something that's very scary as a survivor of sexual violence. If I let my head get too quiet, might go back into that bedroom or that dorm room or whatever. And so I really want it to, you know, be the jarring post-traumatic experience that a lot of victims are living with, a lot of survivors are living with. Yeah.
Will it be in black and white?
I don't know. I've gone back and forth on that. Colors are very important to me, so I think using the color palette that I envision this being in would be really lovely. But I mean, if I am doing a silent film, black and white would make sense.
Doesn't have to be, though.
It doesn't.
It's your story.
I think either could be really lovely, so we'll see what happens.
What's next for you professionally?
Next for me is a feature that I hope to shoot next year in 2020. That's my main goal.
One last question. You know, you had to shoot this film in Shelby County for it to qualify for the Memphis Film Prize. Talk to me about the importance of production coming to Memphis, to Shelby County. What is it about Memphis that you can't get anywhere else, besides the big-ass river on the west side?
Right, and the pyramid, but...
well, you got Egypt. I mean,
right, exactly. You can't beat that. I just think Memphis has just a great texture to it. It just has great stories and great people that you just don't find anywhere else. Like, I was on tour this summer, and I went to, like, different cities, but nothing felt like Memphis. You know, like, Memphis is just so unique to me. So I think it's amazing here.
I really do appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for bringing this film to the public. And let's keep this conversation going, because it's way too important to ignore.
Definitely.